Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1Mby1M Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1Mby1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of that mission, we do these roundtables week after week after week. This is the 459th session. And we started doing these free sessions back in the fall of 2008. So it's been a very long time, more than a decade, that we've been here every week working with entrepreneurs, and over 100,000 people have attended these sessions. The event is being recorded. You will find recordings of all prior roundtables on our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables, and this one will go there as well. If you are live tweeting today, please use hashtag 1M1M. And on Twitter, we are at 1Mby1M and at Shromana. We publish a lot of interesting content, so please follow us and take advantage of that. These are the call-in numbers. This is a roundtable, not a broadcast. We want you to participate. We want you to engage as much as possible. So I will put this slide back up when we're ready for you to call in. We do have some scheduled programming first. We're going to start with 3 entrepreneur pitches today. And to all the presenters, I want you to know that this is a safe working session. We are on your side. We have no other agenda but to help you accelerate your journeys. So feel free to discuss candidly what is it that you need help with, what is it that you're stuck on or struggling with, and we'll just try to brainstorm and come up with solutions. You may not agree with everything that I say. That's fine. It is your venture. You will do what you wish. All I can say is that I will do my best to give you feedback based on my experience, and it's usually well-considered feedback, so you may want to take that into account, at least think about it before you make your decisions. One thing, though, that we hear constantly and I want to caution you about is do not charge headlong into fundraising. Not all businesses can raise money. Not all businesses should raise money. Raising money doesn't guarantee success. There's a time for raising money, blah, blah, blah. So fundraising is a strategic issue, and you should treat it as a strategic issue, not just like charge blindly into fundraising. All right, we're starting today with Debopriyo Sanyal from Kolkata. Debopriyo, please unmute your line and tell us what is it that you're working on.
Good morning, Shamana. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Please go ahead.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Robert, Ram, and Maureen. I am Debopriyo Sanyal. I'm connecting from Calcutta. It's a city in India. I have created a startup called Debopriyo Sanyal Internet OPC Private Limited. And it basically has 2 business units. One business unit is into the e-commerce one. And it was incorporated in the 17th of July, and our web page is debopriyosanyal.com. Now, our company has 2 business units, 2 functional business units. One is into e-commerce, that is Gangabiz.com, and the other one is into management and technology consulting, which is techandmanage.com. We are also planning a 3rd one, but it is not yet functional or operational. If you can move on to the next slide, Shamana. Gangabiz is an end-to-end e-commerce player. We have a website called Gangabiz.com. It is a world-class technology platform. It is created by me. It is a completely cloud-based solution. Uses in many ways the latest and greatest in technology terms. We have our Android app. I think it went live almost a week back. It is now available as a general download from the Google Play Store. We are currently working on the iOS app. It should come up in a few weeks' time from now. All compliance have been achieved, and a design patent has been filed, and it is pending with the Indian IT office. If we can now move, so this is the screenshot of the portal which we have currently. And if you can move on to the next slide, the Android app portal screenshot which we have, it is now available as a general download from the Google Play Store. Numbers speak. Thousands have visited our platform since launch. It was launched on the 15th day of August in the year 2018. This day was chosen as it was symbolic to, as it also coincided with the Independence Day of India, that is the 15th day of August. Our sales operations are running at 40% profit margins. By 40% profit margins, it means that every sale we make a profit of 40%, 30 to 40%, depending on the item which is sold. As again mentioned earlier, we use the latest and greatest in the advertising platforms. We have embedded analytics in the website which can track users' interaction, the location of the users, and it can also, if fitted with the right parameters, it can also target a segment of customers for advertising purposes, so that we can maximize our sales.
What are you doing by way of sales right now?
By way of sales, we are just selling the apparels, and we are also selling the...
no, numbers. You're talking about numbers. I'm looking for numbers. How much are you doing revenue-wise?
In terms of numbers, we had in total 20-plus sales in the last, since we started. We sold 20-plus items, and that is our number. So it is not very huge, but we plan to scale in the coming days. One of the biggest challenges, scale, as we talked about, now that we have taken Gangabiz from 0 to 1, we're trying to scale it from 1 to 100. And we are looking for 500 to 600 crore INR, that is Indian rupees, in funding. Now, why we say that we need this huge figure is that, our competitors, as you might be aware, are some of the biggest names in the industry, and they are, basically American companies who have huge funding. And
Debopriyo, stop. Debopriyo, stop. Stop.
Okay.
Please stop. I need to give you feedback. You really need to understand how this business works. No one's going to give you 500 to 600 crore INR in funding the way where you are right now. No one is even going to give you 5 to 6 crore in funding because you don't meet the requirements of funding at the moment. So the problem that you have is that you need to learn the basics of how a business is built, how to put one foot before the other. In 1 year, you've sold 20 items in an e-commerce business. That is not good numbers. Those are not numbers to be particularly proud of.
Yes, so, let me interject you there. There is a reason why we could not reach scale in terms of the numbers where we can pitch to the big boys or the big houses for the kind of funding we need. The biggest challenge is there is a typical Indian mindset. I am, sure you might be aware that in India, if you want to have a particular customer to come to, ask them or request them to come to a particular e-commerce portal and ask them to buy or, say that, okay, there is a deal going on, you need to show a lot of ads. And that ad, the current
no, I don't agree with that. there are numerous companies coming out of India. We have a very big footprint in the Indian market and in the Indian e-commerce market. We know how these businesses are built, and they are being built from India. They're being built all the time from India. So that is not a good explanation, Debopriyo. The issue is you don't know how to build a business, and you need to learn. The good news is you're an intelligent person who I think if you follow the right path of learning, you can learn. The other piece of feedback I'll give you is choose one kind of business. You open this presentation by saying you wanted to be in 3 different businesses. That is not the way to build a business. You need to choose one business, and if you want to build the e-commerce business, build the e-commerce business, and then you need to decide what e-commerce business are you going to build. Are you going to sell saris? Are you going to sell men's apparel? Are you going to sell women's apparel? You need to decide what that positioning is.
Well, we are planning to sell everything under which can be sold.
That is not a strategy. That is not what you should be doing. That is not a strategy. You are not going to be selling everything under the sun. That is how you fail. That is a perfect way to fail.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because that is not how businesses are built. Businesses are built by selling one thing and one thing well in a place where there is not too much competition. When Amazon started, they only sold books and nothing else. So,
yes,
I don't have enough time.
Started in 1990.
Hold on. I do not have time to give you a lecture.
So,
hold on. Let me speak. I do not have time to right now give you a lecture on the history of business and why you need to pick one thing to focus on. I just don't have enough time in this session to take you through that argument. So please educate yourself on why. This is a very common principle, fundamental principle in the world of business. Please educate yourself through other channels why people choose a positioning. If any company that has been successful has had to choose a positioning of what they're good at, what they focus on, what is the target customer, what is the target product that is going to be sold to a customer. It could be electronic product, it could be software, it could be hardware, it could be physical goods. It doesn't matter, but you have to choose one thing and you have to choose one type of customer, one segment of customer. If you choose to go the e-commerce route, you need to choose whether you're going for a male customer or a female customer. Then you have to choose the demographic of what kind of, what age group, what income level, what all of these are business decisions that you have to make. And that is how businesses are built. If you don't understand that fundamental, then your next step is to educate yourself on those fundamentals. If trying to build a business without understanding those fundamentals, you're going to fail. I'm sorry to be blunt, but that is the reality.
Thanks for the feedback.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for the feedback. I will take your feedback. And if you want to listen me out, or is the time over?
Your time is over.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Rob, you're up next.
Hi, Sramana. Thank you for the time to speak with me and get feedback. And I would have to say I agree with everything you said on that last call.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, you really do have to focus on something. You have to know who your client, your customers are, and there's all kinds of reasons. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and what we're trying to do, why we're super excited at Selfie. My background is really 20 years in medical device and biopharma. I'm a molecular biologist and an epidemiologist by education. And I got out and got into clinical trials and got into drug development. And about 8 to 10 years ago, I got interested in the dietary supplement space. I developed something based on some really old technology, and that, not that far from some Ayurvedic medicine principles, and developed something, a product that called Good Gut, that we were able to go out and get national distribution and get in CVS and Walgreens and so forth by really focusing on a specific customer, like you said.
Yeah.
So we were able to do that. And when I was out there, I kind of got to know the space, and felt like there was room to do something really unique because I realized that everybody's out there. They have products, all kinds. There's billions of dollars being spent on probiotics and prebiotics and all kinds of things. But how do we know if any of that's actually ever working? And so that, how do we track that? Sometimes you can use symptoms, but if somebody's taking it for their immune system, how do they know if it actually really works? And how do consumers follow that? So why don't we go to the next slide? So this the graph on the right, or the little image on the right, is really just kind of it's demonstrating that through the gut there's all these diseases related to the gut. Really, 60% of adults in the U.S. have a condition related to chronic inflammation, and it's pretty well established now that the primary driver of chronic inflammation is the gut, and so that's now pretty widely accepted. But like I said, there's no convenient, easy, repeatable way to test and see what's going on there. Other than you can go to the doctor once a year, maybe, and get some blood tests done, but that's not really a way to see on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, to measure what's actually happening. So if we go to the next slide. Here's our solution, and we're already at work on this. It's at-home test kits that will be saliva-based initially, and along with a mobile app. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah, along with the mobile app that will be used for incentivized health tracking. What I mean by that is the more people interact with the app, and the main things we want to record are exercise, sleep, diet, and stress. The more things that people will record, the more data that they will provide us on that, the cheaper their test results will be. So we'll have incentivized health tracking test kits, and then AI-driven recommendations on how they might modify their lifestyle.
A question, Robert.
Yes.
Is saliva-driven testing sufficient to get the kind of data that you're looking for?
It is. Not many people realize it yet, but there's been tremendous advances in the last 5 to 7 years in saliva testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I could go into the details of what's so exciting about those advances, but maybe that's a little beyond the scope of this. I guess for now, I could follow up with, that typically I would follow up with that type of literature and support. Sure. So here's what the app looks like. Basically, people, they buy a kit online, or they obtain one in the store when purchasing a product. So we're partnering. Selfie is partnering with my other company initially for distribution, and if this goes well, then I've got the company behind Culturel has already said that they would take the Selfie kits in their packages too. So it would just be a huge distribution for us. But anyway, so we'll put people obtain they obtain the saliva testing kit. They register it here on our site. They create a profile. Go to the next slide. I'm sorry. These slides are going to go real quick, just kind of showing what it looks like to go through the app. Right. So they receive recommendations, and the recommendations will, like I said a few minutes ago, would be, hey, listen, we've noticed that we've noticed that your gut health score has gone down. So it looks like your digestive tract is less healthy. But we've also noticed that you're sleeping. You're going to sleep 2 hours later now than you were, last month, the last time you had this tested. Or you've changed your diet. You're eating a larger breakfast. These things we'll be tracking, and then we will make suggestions on what they might want to change, and then retest. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what we tried to do was lower the barrier of entry with saliva, and we have a very different type of business model here. Everybody else that's out there doing any type of gut health tracking now, there's really the predominant way right now is really microbiome testing, and that's something that we'll do a little later. But everybody that's doing gut health testing right now is really it's a B2C. So it's all trying to sell test kits to consumers and make the money on those test kits enough to make the business profitable. But we think that they're really missing the opportunities in the database, the value of the database. Now, of course, we would want to anonymize it, but we feel like or de-identify it. But we do feel like there's a big opportunity in licensing, or we're doing our own analytics in-house for companies that want to do queries. And we've already built a team of advisors, including the former VP at Pfizer, the current global lead for data acquisition at AstraZeneca, the executive director of precision medicine
What is the price point of the test kit?
The test kit starts at $30 for a test kit for the results. The kit itself is free, but to get the results, they would have a start price of $30, and they're able to get it down to $10 at least. They can get it down to $0, but for the first 6 to 8 months, we're going to kind of set the algorithm so that people can get it down to about 10, which is far, far, far below what everybody else on the market is doing. Maybe 1/8 to 1/10 of what the. Go ahead.
And how does that get in the hands of consumers? Is that through CVS and the pharmacies?
It's through that. It's also through us approaching alternative healthcare providers in the States. Whether it's chiropractors or Ayurvedic medicine practitioners or acupuncturists, all those people can refer their customers to this test kit. It's a great way for them to begin to understand their gut better, and for these people to, these healthcare providers.
But marketing to that audience is an expensive proposition.
It's not cheap. I understand that, and we've got a marketing budget set up for that. But you also have to understand that we're not charging a lot. So it's almost like the people that I've spoken to are like, this would be great for my customers or my clients because it's almost free. It can be free for them, and so they see it almost as like an add-on service that they're able to provide. That's kind of the feedback that I've gotten.
No, that's good. That's all good. But all I'm pointing out is that in your business plan, there needs to be a line item for marketing to these providers, and that's not an easy task. That's all. That's my only comment.
My team has already complained about the marketing budget because I think they don't quite have the experience that I do in consumer products to understand that it's not cheap to do this. It's expensive. And that, a large part of a large part of the money that we would be raising would really be for marketing to get the word out. I do think that we would have a high repeat with this because it's really the value for the price is pretty incredible. So we're looking here. This is a market validation slide. This is kind of looking at how big the probiotic industry is and how big it's growing. It's kind of an indicator of the interest in gut health. And then the second slide is really a slide looking at direct-to-consumer testing. You know what direct-to-consumer tests are? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it could be anything from genomic testing to microbiome testing to pinprick test kits that are done at home. And then the third little image is really just look at an example of how much traction there is in health tracking already with using apps, which is we would be getting through the API of different apps. We would be acquiring the data, so it would really mainly be passive acquisition of data, and we would be compensating people for passive acquisition of data, just giving us access to their other apps. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The only thing I would comment on market validation is I'm not sure if this is sufficient by way of market validation for, the policy that we follow in market validation is actually testing in the market that this is working, this is something that people are willing to buy, this is how much people are willing to pay. So
let's go to the next slide.
Kind of like top-down.
if the next slide will answer some of these questions for you.
Okay. Go on.
So next slide. Oh, here we go. So we went out and surveyed using SurveyMonkey. We surveyed consumers, and we wanted to know. One question we wanted to know is it important for us? Is it significant that we're going to be out in retail with these test kits? And what we found out was that surprisingly, 2 out of 3 people said that they would be more willing to. So 69% said they would be more willing to. More likely to do the test or pick up a test if they could get it in retail versus buying it, versus getting it online, even if it was free, which was surprising to us. But and then we looked at price points, and this is part of how we came up with our our pricing strategy. Right now, really the cheapest of these, anything comparable is at least $80, whether it's a microbiome test kit or whether it's any type of a blood or saliva-based testing that's out there on the market for direct-to-consumer. And what we found is that only 3% of the people that we surveyed were willing to pay $75 or more for one of these at-home test kits, which was surprising. That means 97% of the pool is basically out of range. And then we looked at different. We tiered it, and we got, by the time you get down to $15, 81% were willing to pay, and when we said if it was free, we had 98% said they would be willing to do it. And then we also looked at, of those people who we explained to them that in order to get the lowest price on the test, that they could do this incentivized health tracking. And we said what percentage of people would be willing to provide data if they were able to get 50 to 100% discount on the already low price. And what we found out was that 89% said they would do it. And then we said, with this in mind, how often do you think you would repeat the test? Explaining that it's a saliva-based test. And you can see that we got a quite high repeat. Yes.
This is very good. There's one discrepancy that I have to point out. In your business model slide, you're showing test kit revenue and then database revenue. The database revenue is dependent on the fact that your customers are reporting data, and your test kit revenue goes down the more customers report data. So here you're showing both test kit revenue going up and database revenue go up. That may not be completely taking into account that trade-off.
Wait, I really want to try to understand. I guess so. We've already built into this test kit revenue stream the fact that people are going to be paying only a low price, maybe somewhere between $10 and $12. In our business model, it varies depending on the first 6 months. It's almost zero revenue from the test kits on a per kit. And then in the second year, the price goes, the algorithm will be designed so that we'll get an average of about $10 in compensation per test. And then in the third year, and the fourth year, and the fifth year, to be closer, somewhere between around $12 per test kit. And at this.
So the numbers, however, the numbers you're showing, $60 million in the fifth year, with $10 per kit. That's a lot of customers. You have to get this in the hands of a lot of customers. That's something that you're going to get questioned on. How are you getting these units in the hand of that many customers and that many customers using it?
Absolutely, and I know that. So I would love to share the business model with you. It's got all kinds of drivers in it. I think it's a pretty sophisticated model. And
why don't we go to? I think I understand what you're trying to do. Why don't we go to your questions?
Oh, through my question. So here I can show you. This is the roadmap here. It's kind of this is a good slide because it says basically we start with saliva-based testing, and then we add then we layer on microbiome testing, and then we expand the saliva portfolio, so it's not specifically just gut health, but it can also be looking at other indicators of other systems, organs in the body. And then at some point, depending on funding, we'll do chip-based testing. So they don't have to send a sample in. And here's what we're looking for is really $1 million here. We've already got the app. The MVP app is ready to go, but we need to get out and do a production run and do a lot of marketing. So we're looking for $1 million for the first 6 to 8 months, and then that should get us 5,000 samples and the revenue. 200,000 of the revenue we think will come from pre-sale of the database, pre-sale of licensing the database.
Okay.
And I think I think that's the last slide. We can look and see. I think so. And then, and this is the founding team. and really right now just 2 of us are full-time. Umber and myself are full-time. I told you my background. Umber's a systems engineer, went to UPenn and is now more of a product development person. She most recently worked on a health wellness app before coming over and joining our team. Glenn is a Caltech back in the 70s. He's a brilliant guy. He's been the CTO of a number of multi-billion-dollar tech companies, and was one of my first investors in my last company. Anatoly is a Princeton guy, brilliant. My only concern about him is that maybe we're not going to be sophisticated enough for him because he knows the lab really well. And Sarah, yes. Sarah was most recently the VP of Product Development at 1Mby1M. Go ahead.
So the way you present the team, you're basically trying to raise money based on a concept and a team and a bit of an MVP because this is not quite in the market. So the way you present the team is important. Right now you have a lot of university affiliations, but it's not easy for me to understand, me or anybody else listening to this presentation, what is it that your team has done in terms of other professional accomplishment. It sounds like you've done a company before, so you have investors who have, invested in you before. So why wouldn't you be able to raise a $1 million angel round from existing investors or investors who have worked with you before, with whom you have credibility? That seems to me like the most obvious question.
Because they're interested in the consumer product. They're interested in the ingredient and not interested in the testing. It's that simple. I went back to them and asked them. I would have done this under probably the same company initially, just under the company that had the prebiotic product, but they didn't seem to understand the value of it, and I felt like this was really important to get this out there, and so I started another company and I told them about it, and they were all it was very above board.
Okay. All right. So basically you need to take this out and try to raise money from investors who don't know you already. And that's going to require a little bit of fine-tuning of the pitch. I think this pitch has stuff in it that are interesting, but it's going to obviously need some work for a stranger to invest in you. If it's somebody who already knows you, that's one thing, but somebody who's a stranger who doesn't know you to invest in it will have to look at the business much more carefully, the team very carefully, because it is basically an investment in the team. So you're going to have to, package this up a little bit differently. That's my main comment here. I think you have something interesting. There, obviously, I've already pointed out some of the things that looked a little bit concerning to me, but I think you have something interesting. It's a matter of how you present it. Okay.
Thank you, Shraman. Yeah, I really appreciate it. So, welcome. I guess we'll be in touch later. Is that how that works?
If you just hold on, I will explain. After this pitch, Ram has a pitch, and then I'll work with Ram, and then I'll explain to you how to use 1Mby1M in just a moment.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah.
You're very welcome. All right,
Hey, Rob,
Ram,
by the way,
you're
it's a
up
good
next.
product. It's a good product. If this is like $10, $15, if it can, I can check my gut. I think that I would buy it probably every once in 3 months. I'm sure. Cool.
There you go.
All the best, man. Shramana, good meeting you. And
Good meeting you too.
Just a quick overview. Ex-Microsoft Research raised. This is my second company. First company I raised money from Tata. It got incubated by Tata in Redwood City. Then we exited out I was giving the licenses back to them. It was not a successful exit. It was a good play. And then I joined as a venture partner in one of the pre-IPO investment firms in Cupertino. And after that, I wanted to I wanted obviously entrepreneurial. Being entrepreneur is nicer than being an investor of a pre-IPO firm. So this is my company, and I make AI products. I've been an engineer for a very long time, and I'm in MarTech space. So that's my background, and let me present my company to you. More in the next slide. Oh, this is not the slide deck. Maureen, actually, I sent you the new slide deck. Maureen, the one with the pitch deck one. Is there a way that I can share my screen or something? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. So, Shraman is very simple. I've created an AI to convert text content to videos, and marketers and publishers use my AI to create videos and stories because it gets more engagement, which is their core metric. Without us, it is hard and expensive for them to create these videos and stories. So our AI helps them simplify their job in creating these content types, so they're happy to pay me. I have around 300 brands today using us, and mostly are free, and around 20 people are paying. And I started this around a year and a half ago. And just to formally give you this, basically the entire web is organized as pages, and it's very hard to navigate. Our solution is to use the stories, the Instagram and the Snapchat stories, which is used by 1 billion people. And this is the platform. This is the flow of how the marketeers use us. Basically, a content writer writes the content. Today, it is very hard for him to go and make a video or stories because he doesn't have the skills, and it's very hard for him. So our AI, he just puts the content in. Our AI understands the article, goes and gets the media, and creates an entire storyboard for him. With few clicks, basically, he creates a video. It just gets more engagement. And all my go-to-market, and also he embeds it in the blog. And the next slide, Maureen. And surprisingly, actually, the stories that we invented, it's a new format of packaging, it gets 300% more engagement on the new content for bloggers, and 70% engagement on the videos. And I'm building it, by the way, I'm already got these numbers, but I'm building a formal case study, getting signed off by these companies. And all these, my go-to-market strategy is very simple. I go to these marketing companies who are working with big brands, and I convince them, and there we go. I get like 30, 40, 50 accounts at one shot, and we just got around 20 customers now, but I'm pretty confident that our roadmap is very strong, and we should be making around $1 million revenue by the end of next year. And the market size is huge and stuff. The next slide, Maureen. We are in a very interesting positioning. Actually, we are in a very, really interesting positioning because they have editing tools. Data is in one side. The stock images are on one side. The AI is in one side, but they're not together. And we have this unique opportunity to put this all together in one box, which can impact the MarTech industry big time. And around $135 billion. It is a $135 billion industry. And just day before yesterday, I was just telling people that, hey, you could also make more money because when you switch stories, you could also insert ads. And everybody were like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. I mean, when I say everybody, customers, the customers who make around 110 crores in Mumbai, who has...
So Ram, where do you get the stock images from? It sounds like stock images are a big piece of your puzzle because you're on the fly creating videos. You need stock images to pull from.
So I have two places. One, the paid premium stock repository, another free premium stock repository Plus, I have also Azure. I also have Google image repositories, which have licenses of common creative license, which I can use. So I have my AI, which goes and indexes, and that's how I built my repository of images.
Okay.
And good, decent traction, and paying customers, and I have a 9-member full-time team, and I have around a dozen freelancers and folks. So if I keep this,
and where are you
if I keep
located?
this pace, so I'm based out of Cupertino, and I have a couple of folks part-time helping me out there, and I have a small operation in Bangalore and Coimbatore. So these are the 3 sites I have. That's just to keep the cost simple, it's Coimbatore and Bangalore. And again, I've been in Microsoft sales and marketing, so I speak sales, and we have done $55 million sales while I was at Microsoft for Visual Studio in India. And this month, this year, by the end of this year, probably I'll turn around $20,000-$30,000, but the next year is $1 million. Following to that, we are trying to take the AI server and sell it and license it to companies like Google and search companies, e-commerce companies, and content companies. And that's how we make the large check. So we now make around from $30 to $999 per month for the stories hosting and stuff. But again, my larger $1 million license probably would come from companies like Facebook, Google, who wants to process data at the bulk. It's very similar to the text-to-speech engine licensing that Apple and Google buys. That's pretty much it. It's a strong team. We have doctorates from IIScs, and people who have turned a few $1 million, and people who have built products. The next slide, Maureen. Oh yeah, I have some good, decent advisors who have been in Morgan Stanley in finance, and Siddharth Malik, who is the Chief Revenue Officer of Freshworks, which is recently Axel invested in $150 million on a $1.5 billion valuation.
Freshworks is a company accelerated in 1Mby1M. We know them very well.
Come on, Girish Mathurapura?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know him very well. That's fantastic. So in fact, I know you for a long time. I've been hearing and reading all news about you. So that's why when I just finished. I always believe in making this deck after attraction. So I started building product and everything, made this slide deck, and I was like, okay, I want to talk to Shramana and see what she thinks.
So the business model that you're selling at, is it a SaaS business model? Are the customers that you're working with is a SaaS business model? And what is the pricing structure?
Pricing structure starts from $29 just to remove the watermark with a basic library, with a sophisticated library with $79, and with stories and hosting $199, and it goes up to $999 based on the traffic. If TechCrunch, kind of a heavy traffic site, or Economist, or New York Journal, or New York Wall Street Journal buys it, it might be $99 per month they pay. But for simple blogs and stuff, it's $199 per month.
So you're going to need to. So what is it? If a New York Times buys a license, are they buying a license per article, or are they buying a license per user?
For a site for a month. So they put my blogs. They can use my plugins in their websites for all their users. Which up to 1 million users is a fair usage limit, and for 1 million users can use the story. And I'm not pushing a lot on the fair usage and things, Shramana, because it's early business.
The issue, Ram, is the go-to-market strategy, and what is the average deal size? If you have to do a lot of high-touch selling to a New York Times, for instance, and then at the end of all that you get just $1,000 a month. That's not a lot of money based on that high-touch selling. And that's going to be an issue. Those kinds of companies don't scale very well. So I like what you're doing, and I understand the problem, because, yes, video is a lot more engaging. It's a lot more time-consuming and a lot more cumbersome to build a video based on an article. All of that is absolutely correct. And having run a blog for 15 years. I know exactly what you're talking about. But the issue from your point of view, I don't question at all the value of the product. The issue that you're going to grapple with in raising money is the scalability and the velocity with which you can scale this venture, based on the fact that if you cannot get value out of a large site, if let's say a large site buys your product, you have to be able to extract value. So your pricing model, if I were to work with you, I would probably change your pricing model.
Got it.
Yeah?
I see your point. Yeah.
Because that's where you're going to get caught. When an investor looks at this, where you're going to get caught is that they will conclude that this business is not going to scale very fast. And that's basically the death knell of any financing round.
Got it. No, I see your point. Thank you so much for that feedback. Is there anything else that I'm making a mistake?
For now, that's it. Let me just explain for everybody's benefit how to use the program, and then if you have more questions, you can absolutely ask me more questions. I will open the line for Q&A, open Q&A in a moment. So folks, if you like what we're doing here, please refer the program to serious entrepreneurs. The word serious is in bold. And the reason it's in bold is that building a company is very difficult. People have to be really committed, and people have to be really focused for years and years and years to really build a serious company. So we can only make those entrepreneurs successful who have the stamina to do that kind of heavy lifting. So in terms of resources, everything we offer is at 1Mby1M.com. It's a completely online program. There's a blog series. You can follow the blog, and you'll learn a lot just by following the blog, and it's free. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is available on Amazon. It's 12-volume case study-based books. You can use that to learn. They're very reasonably priced. You'll learn a lot from these case studies as well. These roundtables happen every week after week after week. Just by following these roundtables, whether it's in live version or recordings, you will learn a lot as well. Our full acceleration program is 1M Premium. And there we offer extensive methodology guidance, full curriculum, help with business development, help with your pitches in the last two pitches, Ram's pitch and Rob's pitch. I talked about changing strategy. I talked about packaging changes, etc. All that we would do within the premium program. To access that level of help, entrepreneurs would need to join the premium program, and then we'll work specifically on those areas, those strategies, those areas of whatever needs to be done to make your business fundable. Now, of course, not all businesses can be made fundable. That's something that also is a reality. Not all businesses can be funded. Not all businesses should be funded, in which case we are fine with that. We are not trying to get every single business in our portfolio funded. We are perfectly happy to help you find customers, revenues, profits, and make your business a sustainable business without funding if your business doesn't have the hyper-growth characteristics. That's fine too. And we have as much respect for businesses that are going to become sustainable, profitable businesses on a linear scale as we do for the businesses that grow at a very high velocity rather. So go to the website, the 1Mby1M.com website, and go to the self-assessment. There's a series of questions, and these are questions that investors will inevitably ask you, and you're going to have to respond to these questions. And I believe that you should ask these questions before facing investors. And you should be able to answer these questions in a very robust, very defensible way by yourself, and that's part of your preparation before going to investors. If you get stuck on any point, go to 1M1M Basic for $99 a month. You can access our full curriculum and just make sure you plug your methodology gaps. There's the first presentation that we listened to today. I'm sure the entrepreneur did not like that feedback, but that entrepreneur would benefit tremendously from going through the curriculum because he lacks the basic knowledge of how to build a business. So this is like a little, mini entrepreneurship MBA for technology startups. And the unfortunate thing that we run into all the time, and today we ran into that with the first presenter as well, is that people who need the program the most are the most reluctant to use the program and are the most defensive about the learning. They're not willing to put in the learning time, and they think they know everything, and the truth is they know nothing. And that's a very, very unfortunate paradox of our business. And we run into this all the time. Yesterday, we had a in-person rendezvous. We do twice a month. We do this in-person rendezvous in Silicon Valley in Menlo Park at Cafe Boroni, and we had exactly the same situation of an entrepreneur. There were a number of entrepreneurs yesterday, and the one who needed the most help and would benefit the most from this kind of help was the most defensive of the lot. But it is a paradox. You don't know what you don't know, and that creates this paradox. Anyway, for those of you who are open to learning, there's a tremendous amount of resources here to learn from. Go to the website. It's very well articulated. What do we offer? What to expect from the premium program? What to expect from the basic programs? FAQs, video FAQs. You can pretty much get a sense of the curriculum, what's in the curriculum, how the curriculum is presented. We do a case study-based program. Over 1,000 successful entrepreneurs have participated in helping develop this curriculum with their case studies, with their entrepreneur journeys. So whatever we are teaching you is actually, you can think about it as over 1,000 successful entrepreneurs, including 100 unicorn entrepreneurs, 400 plus venture funded companies, another 400 plus bootstrap companies. Everybody is teaching you, not just me. It's like a huge collective intelligence, huge collective experience, that lessons from the trenches that you are able to harness based on what we have created here. And it's very, very valuable. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient bootstrap startups. So some amount of bootstrapping is required for you to be able to raise money. And that's just the way the industry is set up right now. Very few concepts get funded. So don't assume that you can fund a concept. And that's just the reality of our business today. When I started in this business in the mid-90s, in the first wave of the internet, concepts used to get funded. It's no longer the case. Unless you're a serial entrepreneur, you can be Elon Musk and get a concept funded. But by and large, concepts do not get funded. All right, so that's it this month. We have roundtables every week. So if you want to come and discuss your business, your strategy with me, you're very welcome to do that at one of these upcoming roundtables. And we have 2 more rendezvous in Menlo Park. So if you're local and you want to come by, please do. I'll be very happy to meet you in person and chat with you further. And now we're ready for open Q&A. So if any of you who have presented who have more questions, I'm happy to answer more questions. Anybody in the room, if you'd like to introduce yourselves and talk about what is it that you want to talk about, this is now open season. And while you're lining your questions up, let me also introduce you to Irina Patterson. If you have questions about the program, you can ask her, Irina at 1Mby1M.com. She'll be very happy to answer any questions. She's very patient and very knowledgeable about the program. And that's it. Questions, comments, introductions is also a good time to network. I hope you found it useful today. I actually have given quite a bit of, very substantial feedback.
Speaking for myself and for Selfie, I think that it was great feedback, consistent with what we heard from a venture group yesterday. First questions
good.
Yeah, first questions were, is saliva testing, how far along is it, and that's a great question. The other one was, how are you going to get customer acquisition, a big question around that. One thing I didn't mention to you is that I'm one of the early advisors for Zoomio, which is a wellness app. They're one of the biggest ones. They did the first instant heart rate app, and they also they have over 1 million active customers just through their diabetes app. daily, and so we'll partner with them and get access to those folks. And those people with diabetes tend to have a pretty strong interest in gut health as well. So we'll distribute our kits to them. No, I think it's a great question. You had great comments, and we'd like to be involved, and we'll sign up for your premium plan.
Great. I actually have quite a few ideas of how to morph your business to a stage where I think we can get it funded. So I like what you're doing. I think it just needs some work, and I'm happy to work with you to get it to that stage.
Thanks so much, Sarman. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to getting to know you better.
Perfect.
And your team.
Same here. Great.
Thank you.
Anybody else, folks? Questions, comments? All right. Well, looks like we've covered everybody's questions and issues. We will meet you back here next week, and hope to see some of you in person as well. I look forward to working more on more of your businesses. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, we have just launched also these online rendezvous on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So those will be available on live streaming on all the social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So, we are offering more and more touch points to work with you. So take advantage of whatever works on your schedules. See you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.